the undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov!
Cory Sandhagen.
Wow, what kind of news has arrived? Umar Nurmagomedov, who occupies the 11th line in the bantamweight division, may soon fight with the elite representative of this category, Cory Sandhagen, who lives on the 4th line. In case of victory, the doors to the title fight will open for Umar. Hello all fighters with MMA Predictions channel. In this video, I will give a prediction for the fight that will decide a lot. Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. But before you start this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like it so that as many fans as possible can watch this episode. Umar Nurmagomedov is a young avenue that is gaining momentum, and it is not difficult to guess from his last name that he is a relative of the well-known Khabib Nurmagomedov. Umar started in local MMA promotions, but after a series of victories without defeats, he is noticed by UFC matchmakers, of course, not without the help of Khabib, but still they notice him and offer him a contract. Of course, it would be stupid to refuse such a thing, and Nurmagomedov accepts the offer. His debut turned out to be difficult. I don't mean the fight itself, but the organization of it. First some injuries, then the coronavirus pandemic prevented Nurmagomedov from performing. But as a result, he was able to enter the octagon and beat Sergey Morozov in the opening. Then he passed two more opponents, leaving them not a single chance. After Umar was given a stronger fighter under the name Raoni Barcelos, some experts believed that the Brazilian would cause the first difficulties to the Russian. But as we remember, Umar did not care about their prediction. He took and knocked him out in the first round, leaving no questions. After this fight, everyone wondered who was next for Nurmagomedov. Almost everyone refused to fight him. But just recently, the main promotion of the world announced Umar's fight against the top of this division, Cory Sandhagen. And, as I think, he also did not really want to accept this fight, but the increased fee, and in case of victory, he 100% fights for the belt did their job. And as a result, this fight will soon be officially announced. Let's talk briefly about Cory. Now, he is not in the best position in his career. Yes, he is on a series of 2 victories in a row, but after he lost to Ojo, he alternates victories with defeats. He defeated Maurice and Edgar, but lost to Dillashaw and Ian, and now he has defeated Song Yadong and Marlon Vera, but those victories were not entirely convincing, and how he will show himself in the fight against Umar we have to find out. Will another Nurmagomedov be able to win UFC gold and make so much noise? Right now we will try to find out, but I will repeat what I said at the beginning. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like. This is a great motivation to move on. Percussion style. Let's start with a punch, and the first in line is the representative of Dagestan, Umar Nurmagomedov. And no matter how strange it may sound, but Umar is for the most part a fighter of the striking style. His floor-to-floor kicks are the main weapon in all fights. Opponents don't know what to do with it. He tested almost everyone for strength. It seems that the surname Nurmagomedov should correspond to the wrestling style, but Umar decided to go his own way. As you know, he is not a knockouter. He calmly dismantles his counterpart at a distance during the entire round. But the most dangerous opponent in his entire career, who is alright with the punch, will come out against him. Whether Nurmagomedov will be able to outplay him is a difficult question. He deals with fighters of the level below without any problems. As for the top level, we will find out after the fight with the American. Now let's move on to the striking technique of Cory Sandhagen. Cory has been in the main promotion of the world for a long time and managed to fight with the elite of this division and with fighters whose boxing is at a high level. One of these fighters was Petr Yan. You can also note Maurice. At that time he was not so simple. Also, his recent fights against Yadong and Vera can be cited as an example. In general, yes, Sandhagen has an excellent striking technique. He also has well-developed legs. I think everyone remembers that fatal knee in the fight against Edgar. You can also note the brilliant turntable in the fight against Marlon Moraes. Without a doubt, the American has a knockout punch, and if he hits the right place, then you will get up only after waking up. Since Cory either knocks out like this, that you can't come to your senses for a long time, or you come to the decision of the judges. Cory Sandhagen's striking base is such, and what can be said in the end? If you rely on the experience of athletes, then naturally the American will be the leader. But if you compare only their skills without taking into account the opposition, then in my opinion, Umar will be better, who misses half as many punches and acts only for sure. Playing from the bottom. Let's move on to the topic of wrestling, and this time we will start with Cory Sandhagen, who has big questions about wrestling training at the moment. Well, the first thing that can be noted is the fact that after the defeat to Sterling, there were no such wrestlers in his career, only if Dillashaw tried to somehow fight him, but due to injury he did not get takedowns. But the fight against Aljamain confuses me the most. If the level of Sandhagen's fight is assessed only by this fight, then everything is sad here, since the Jamaican has never been famous for translations, and here at the very first attempt he managed to transfer the American. So what will freestyle wrestler Umar Nurmagomedov do with him? Moreover, the fight with Aljo is long gone. This fight is more than 3 years old, and how Cory has progressed during this time can only be guessed. But if he has not improved his performance, in this fight he should hope for the knee that Jorge pierced in the fight against Askren. Let's move on to Umar, who, unlike the American, is developed in all aspects of MMA. Yes, I said that he is a striker in the base, but damn, how can you not have a fight while in Khabib Nurmagomedov's team? Khabib improved Umar's performance so much that now it is not clear whether he is a wrestler or not. Recently, he began to spend more and more time on the canvas surface. Sergey Morozov is a clear example of this. You can also remember the fight against Brian Callar. In these confrontations, Umar understood that his opponents had a strong punch, so why not take advantage of his second advantage? Sandhagen also has good knockout power, but what will happen when Umar transfers him? How the American will act then? Most likely the outcome of his fight with Sterling will be repeated, and naturally Umar Nurmagomedov will be the favorites in this path. Cardio spirit. Now let's move on to stamina, and the first one we will have is Umar, who has done a maximum of 15 minutes of fighting in his career. This will be a novelty for him, since the fight will take place in the main event of the evening, and of course he will go 5 rounds. But given the way he fights, I can assume that he will go the entire distance without any problems. Let's move on to Cory, who has repeatedly passed the championship rounds, where he showed himself at a high level. Each fight is a high pace, where the American does not even think of backing, and due to this, Sandhagen will be considered the favorites in the gas tank. As for the spirit, I will believe more in Umar, for whom this is a chance to take off and get a title fight, and the American in some way understands that he is just fodder for a young prospect. Forecast. I think that Umar Nurmagomedov will win this fight, and most of the fight is decided here. Umar will try to translate and tire the American in the fight, and only after that, as soon as he starts to get tired, he will look for the finish.